All right. Okay, so today we are looking at interpersonal relationships, and we are looking at it from the perspective of how we see others. For me, I don't know for you, for me, this is very key. Now, if I'm going to talk about being to a child, sorry, because of the internet problems I've had, I just want to be sure that we are on board. Let somebody just reply to me. Just say good morning.
Good morning, Coach.
Okay, thank you very
Good
much.
morning, coach.
Good morning. Thank you, Harriet. All right, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been dealing about being, and it's interesting. So this article, I think, for a few of us, I think Mr. Harold has, who has the copy of The Art of Possibility. This giving an A is a chapter in the book. I remember 2022, there about 2023, when I first read this book. I was struggling with the concept of giving people an A. But as we've been delving into the subject of being in this class, it started opening up a possibility of understanding for me. Now, when we say, who are you being? It's the posture you take that is kind of not dependent on external circumstances. Then, to further propel my inquiry into this giving people an A, the last 2 weeks ago, in the midweek Wednesday service, in the Sunday service, my pastor has taught us how that, look, we are the righteousness of God, and the righteousness has nothing to do with what we do. And but he's taught that message over 10 times now. And that, look, you were forgiven your sins even before you were born. So it couldn't have been something that is time bound. You were forgiven once, and you started committing sin, and that forgiveness was withdrawn. Now, a sister or a lady got up and said she finds this teaching really, really difficult to grasp. She finds it difficult to grasp that she knows somebody that this guy is such a disaster when it comes to being a Christian. But the guy says he's the righteousness of God. Yeah, my pastor said, you have received grace. You have received forgiveness. You are now to dispense it to others. Now, when he was talking about before then, just sometimes about 2 months ago, I had replayed this idea of giving an E. I'll be honest, I've never practiced it. Like I say, the automatic judgment in us sometimes doesn't even give us the space to decide how to, will I say in English, we say you size up the person. So sometimes you are speaking, the posture, your posture in what you are talking about. I can talk about the same thing to an adult and to a child, but my posture is different talking to the two persons. Why? Because of the way I have estimated the people. Because of the way, so which means that tells me that I always estimate people. So who I am being is not the same all the time, even in the office. So I could say the same thing to two persons. Some at the back of my mind, my automatic judgment sees this one different from this. Now, what gives me that right of judgment? Now, remember, this is all about me. It is not about them. So they are who they are. They will always be who they are. Now, the idea of giving an A to everybody, so kind of answers the question. But then I said, if it answers the question, a lot of my relationships, I don't know for you, will take a really different interpretation. It will take a different detour. So now automatically judge people, even though I know or I say I do not judge, or I have taken in the admonition not to judge, but I judge. Now, like we've said in different classes, I will never stop judging. But the awareness that I judge can change my posture on the judgment. Now, the awareness is different from not being aware. It creates an entirely different game. In fact, the more we grow on the subject of being, rather than listening out there, we are constantly listening in here. We are listening to our judgment as somebody is talking. Hey, stop that. Hey, stop that. Yeah, but yesterday he stole. Stop that. If he had stopped stealing? If he doesn't steal again? If I made up the stealing, was I there? Now, all of them is a posture for myself. And that is what being is about. So this morning, we just want to take a look at, I am praying that I will learn something. I am from here listening to other people, what they got from the article. How does this article giving everybody an A come to you? And what are the possibilities that this posture is likely to open up in relationships, in the way we relate with anybody? All right, so that's just by way of introduction. And I would open the floor now for us to, those of us who read the article, I want to believe that many of us did. To say, in maybe in under 5 minutes, to say what you got from the article, the idea of giving people an A, because my interpretation, what I've just said now, is an interpretation from who I am being. You understand things from who you are being. You can't see, you don't see more than who you are being. So, but when we exchange ideas like this, I see how people are seeing it from who they are being, and it kind of interacts with what I have seen, and I can become a better person. So the floor is open to everyone. Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning, Harold.
And good morning, everybody. Yeah, this article is actually challenging me because I had an interview recently. I was in a panel and I was supposed to score people based on star. And when so it's five. Five is excellent, and one is didn't give any example to demonstrate your leadership potential. And I only like to give between, if you do very well, I maximum I give is 4. So because from my background, I want to say if teacher is too lenient, it's not good. It's making you not to work hard. So this one's really challenged my my foundation. So and the man is making a lot of points because from what he said when you give somebody A, you find yourself speaking to people not from a place of measuring how they stack up against your standard, but from a place of respect that gives them the support to realize their potential. So what is given to you yourself, you as the person giving them the A, it shows that you operate from the place of abundance, not from the place of scarcity. Because what I did, I operated from the place of scarcity because I'm not giving this guy what they. The other guy will say, I give him 5. I say, you give him 5. Why do you justify 5? You say because of this. So I operated from a place of scarcity from my background because to get first class, man, in those days, That is not my. Actually, those of us that did Almighty June, that was what we did in our school in those days before they changed it. That means you accumulate everything they study from you from September um, up to April. You do it in May. And if, for example, you find the type of load of things you carry to go and write exams for 3 hours, so if you either know it or you don't know it, so it is really very good. And why it is justifiable, because I saw the experience. Because even the people they gave A initially, they felt somehow that they are cheating. But the man said, no, promise me something, that I'm giving you an A, but you got to write something to me, a memo to me, that in the past that I got this A because of this which I did. So what he did to them is that it's like you setting a goals, in the past, I set this goal and I did this thing. So it's like a commitment. You are saying, I did this, I did this, I did this, and that's why I got the A. So when you write your commitment like this, you are bound to, because you were not forced to write that commitment. It is based on your own integrity and your capacity, inner capacity that you have in you, that has been raised to say, I can do all things. You can do all things. I can do this. I did this. I did that. I did that. So it removes fear from you. It removes timidity from you. And say, since this man believe in me that I can do it, then I'm going to do it. And the testimonies they give, it's really very good, because this one say, I could now accept mistakes about a year ago, but no, I couldn't accept mistakes about a year ago. I enjoy making mistakes now, and I really learn from these mistakes. So I got an A because I had the courage to examine my fears. Those are the things that they really do, because a lot of people, especially from our background, that says, you must not do, if you do this mistake, I will flog you, so making mistakes leads to punishment and all those things. So from psychological perspective, we know that mistakes leads to punishment, and so people fear making mistake because of the repercussion, but not knowing that that mistake is what actually will make you learn and master it. So that fear is removed, and so you want to bring out yourself. The other one said, focus on the person you want to be and forget about the fears. Our job is to remove all the extraneous degree that stands between you and the expression of the world. So in a way, it is good. Well, I looked at it from the point of view, I say maybe because it's a practical organization. I mean, it's a practical profession, music. You need to practice and make it. What if it's a theoretical, like the way we are taught in our own educational system? You don't have the practice. I remember when I was leaving school that time, university, and the lecturer, I think Dr. Asika, he came and said, I was studying business. He said, how many of you have used computer before? We said no. How many of you have been to computer center? I would say no. It's okay. Now I'm sending people to computer center. And in those days, it was this type of computer where you have mainframe. A computer is a set of its own. You have the mainframe, and you have the cards. Those type of cards you use. Type of cards you use. So you have the input. They will type the thing to the very very colonial setup. And that was what we went to visit the computer center, and that was it. You can imagine it. But today, everybody has access to computer. Everybody, even with your phone, you can access computer. So technology has really increased. So we don't really have the capacity to use the technology in those days to be practical and know what you need to do to be the best you want to be. So it's really what do you call it? And one other thing which I got from it is the fact that when people examine you most of the time, they examine you based on their own perspective. So it's like, you must do it my way. You must do it my way to pass. And if you don't do it their way, they won't. Look at the guy who, at the end of the day, he was writing his final exams and he decided to change from what the lecturer gave to him to Thomas Hardy. I think he went to Thomas. I don't know one of Thomas Hardy's books, and he did very well. But because he didn't do it the way the teacher wanted, she didn't score him well. But the external examiner came say this is very good and gave the guy an A. Gave the guy an A. So what is that? The guy now said that this teacher was not part of his leadership, you know, wasn't part of the leadership. And I think I resonate with that, because if you I went through the same thing too. I was doing my master's in management and I was writing my project on structure and organizational performance in the type of structure. And any literature review I write, my my supervisor will not accept it. I did about 5 or 6 literature review. It became so frustrating until at a certain stage, the man, he looked at me and said, "Look, I'm just going to stop it. After all, I was working and I don't need this master's to get a job. So I'm going." And the man said, "Come, come. It's okay. There's one book I recommend for me. It's called, I think it's Hall. I won't forget that thing. I had to search for that book, and I looked at the book. And by the time I brought points from Hall, according to this, according to that, that was when the man now said, look, I can proceed to my methodology. So it was very frustrating. Everybody know me, because when I get to where I was reading, I was using MBA class that time to write my this thing. I had one big table with all the books that I say, again, your project. I say, yes. So, so at the end of the day, I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything with structure. I didn't do anything with the performance. I didn't do anything. I had to start to work from different perspective. So let me leave here so that others can come in.
Right. Thank you very much. So somebody else, we should all try to talk in this class. Let's do, how many of us? Just do 5 minutes. Hear yourself speak. Like I've said repeatedly, you can't believe the kind of growth when you keep hearing yourself talk. So who has read the article and what have you to say on it?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Harriet.
Yes, so from the article, the summary of it, of what I saw there, is that they are saying we should give A to anyone. And once we give A to anybody, it removes, that kind of measurement and competition. And it also, replaces it with possibility. You begin to see that the person will begin to see that, yes, he's able to achieve, whatever height the person wants to get to. And I likened it to what happened in the story of Gifted Hands, Ben Carson. When in the class they rated the child, Ben, as somebody who could not achieve anything because he was getting all the answers, wrong. And he became a laughing stock in his class, but his mom took the other aspect, which is this other side that they are saying, see possibility in this person. Do not give that person, do not rate that person like a C or a D. Give that person A. So the mom was always, giving her children that A, a grade from her words of encouragement to let them know that they can do it, they can do it, they can do it. And then she took an extra step by saying that read a book, review it, and discuss it with me. Go to library. So for me, that was a perfect example of this kind of not giving A. Not giving C, to bring somebody down, but just seeing the best in that person, even when the person is not doing well, and that can actually bring the person out, to achieve greater heights that the people who were rating that person as C wouldn't have said. And immediately started going to, if not for the mom who saw the A in him and spoke good words and started going to library, when he came back to the class and started answering questions, they were shocked because he could not answer questions very well. So it's important. But these things, sir, is easier said than done. No? I tell you the truth, because when they did our appraiser in the office, the last appraiser, everywhere scattered. A manager that just came from somewhere in 1 month, the appraiser, sister, the appraiser was from January to, we do appraisal 2 times in a year. One is half year, January to June. Then we now do the full year appraisal. So this manager resumed at the end of May for an appraisal that was going to be done for January to June. End of May means that that manager only stayed with our department, the head of the, I say head of department, not manager, head of department for only 1 month. And then her appraiser, she was giving people D, C. People who were having B for many years and everywhere scattered. Although she put her comments there, but there were challenges. Writing to HR, what is going on? So now when you say give somebody A, and that kind of HOD just resumed and is bringing people down, it first of all demoralized everybody. You understand? So some people are just made up. I don't know how to say whether it's made up or they're I don't want to use the say prophet of doom. They enter somewhere, they want to scatter it. And what she now told somebody is that I'll first of all bring you down so that by the next year appraiser, then I can lift you up small. Say, what is the meaning of that? And they use the appraiser to add money to people's salary. You understand, sir? So some people's mindsets, they cannot see everybody to get that A. So this thing we are saying, so it is well, sir. All right.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Close, the floor is yours.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
For me, we have a mindset, so it's like we need a mind shift to be able to achieve this, because it's like at times you come with a preconceived notion about somebody. So what he's trying to teach us is you trying to see what somebody can be. See, from the class, from the people that they were asked to say, okay, I've given you an A. Okay, you have to write a note, like backdating is like 1 year ago. You are writing a note of 1 year ago. So it's like you give the people the liberty to see what they can be, acting from a position of, I've been able to achieve this over this 1 year, but you are seeing the person from now. I'm seeing the person right now, but I'm looking at the person from like a year ago. So it's giving people grace to be what they can be. And actually, it makes us look inward too, because at times it's like you made a judgment without the total picture. Looking at the guy that said he had asthma, and for him, he was thinking, the father never loved him. But because of that assignment, he had to look intently, and he now saw the father never told him, I love you. The father may not have said it, but there were actions that showed that the father loved him. So the father stroking his hair, when he was able to remember that, he brought to his mind that actually this man loves me, but he may not have said it from his mouth, but his expression showed it. And for Rosamond too, who felt the father didn't know her, the father never loved her because he did not know her. But when she tried to look back and she used that judgment, the judgment of her father now was affecting every other relationship. But looking back, when she sat down to give the father an A, even though the father was dead, giving the father an A and not trying to look intently, she was able to see a letter that the father wrote, and the father telling her that, oh, she'll be able to work with people. So the father even already saw in her, but because she didn't give the father an A, she was maybe based on the father's, okay, I want to be alone with my father at the age of 8, and the father, you don't know the reason why your father said no at that time, but just because of the father, the father said no. She felt the father did not love her. But looking back now, she was able to recollect that letter. She was able to now see a letter that the father wrote. So he's trying to tell us not to have a preconceived a preconceived notion, just to free our minds of judgment. And that way we'll be able to get the best from people. Because if you don't have a judgment about somebody, you allow the person to express themselves without any inhibition. But when you already, somebody feels that this one, yeah, as they come now, so it too they do. So somebody knows that I already feel it too they do. So they want to avoid you. So it's for us to have a free mind, relate with people without any judgment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toast. Thank you. Michael, the floor is yours.
Good morning, Coach. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I didn't manage to read the article thoroughly. I just glanced through. All we have said, or all everybody has said, Harold, Harriet, and Tooks, I think, yes, it's correct. What I picked from the article, apart from what they have said, it's a little bit of something about the power of vision. The summary of what they have been saying is, yes, we should learn to step down judgment and give people a chance. I will put that a little bit differently, in the sense that, yes, we should learn to step down judgment and expect the best from people and let them know that they can be that best that we expect. Speaking on the level of principle, that's really more like just being positive to attract the positive out of somebody else. But I heard Harold and Harriet talk about the difficulty they have with that in the organizational setting. Harold talked about interviews. Harriet talked about what was it? Appraisal. This thing is really more personal, interpersonal than anything else, and it might be difficult to apply it in the corporate space, at least not in the context in which we have read it in the article. Why? In the corporate space, it has its own metrics. It has its own standards. The corporate space implicitly is judgmental. For example, if you have a department with 5 people on the same level, there's no way you're going to give all of them an appraisal. Who gets promoted? Who gets to stay where they are? Who gets to be sent out of the department to some other department? So by implication, there must be differences in the levels of scores or assessment that people get in a corporate setting. And when you go for interviews, yes, if you are conducting an interview, if 10 people are coming before you, you don't know them, all 10 could actually be able to meet the potential requirement or expectation in the job role. But you have no way of knowing at that point in time. And even if it were so, the company only has space for 1 or 2 or 3 persons. So there's no way you are going to score everybody absolutely the same just because you are operating this principle. So in the corporate setting, it has its limitations. On the interpersonal level, where somebody like Xander is trying to affect lives, to change the trajectory of lives and get people to improve. And in a setting like this, where we are learning to do the same thing, yes, you could apply it. It could be applied across board. But the emphasis is this: it's on an interpersonal. It's really for application on an interpersonal level. So that is that. Now on the impact of the I give you an A, on one condition, you tell me what you did to get that A. One, the man set a vision before those people he was coaching. He set a vision of them seeing themselves as their best on an individual level. And write what you will do to get it was really just trying to give them an idea of what is already in them, the path they can follow to achieve that personal best. And for me, it just summarizes in a stark way the power of vision. Let me stop here for now.
All right. Thank you very much. Ejiro, the floor is yours. You are muted, Ejiro.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Okay, from giving an A, I think the part that struck me was the very last part of the chapter that was talking about an abbot um, and a rabbi. So the monastery was shutting down, and people were not taking interest in it anymore. So they went to meet the rabbi and asked him what they can do for the order to be returned. And the rabbi was like, he doesn't know what they can do, but he has only one thing to tell them, that is that the the Messiah is one of them. So they took that word and they started looking at themselves as the Messiah with great respect. So what was missing is that in the monastery they had lost the spirit of honoring each other. So because they do not highly esteem each other, they do not highly esteem themselves as well. So the monastery started going down. But as soon as they started seeing people from, okay, this is a Messiah, this is a Messiah, the order returned. So if you are to take that in a practical context, um seeing people, like highly esteeming people, not judging people from the point that, oh, this person does not really have anything to offer. When you come from that angle, you realize that you will not really get much from that person because you have already pictured that this person does not really have much to give you. But when you live with an open heart and you esteem someone, you give an A, you give that person the the freedom to actually express his or her potential, right? And giving an A does not actually mean that, oh, you have to put away the person's flaws or the person's errors at side, or you just throw it away like it doesn't exist. No, it's also it's an ability for you to also express your thoughts and your feelings without, quenching that other person's. So the person is received, it's more like it can serve as a constructive criticism, like you are bringing a criticism, but you are not lowering the person's morale, right? Because even as you criticize, you also esteem the person. So the person lives with the mindset that, oh, I can do more, right? So it's giving an A is not just showing, it is the ability for you to see someone's potential regardless of how the person seems on the, if the person is dealing with children now, maybe a child is shy and you are trying to get the child to believe in himself. You can talk, right? You bring the child to that point that he believes that, okay, I can do this. Even if I failed in this, it's possible for me to get it right. So that's what giving an A to me is.
Thank you very much, Ejiro. Thank you. Now, okay, Harold, you want to talk?
Yeah, actually, I when Ejiro was talking, I sort of resonate with Ejiro's point of view for two things. One, you know, um, we always in organization we always focus on the hard. They say the hard because I did change management some 2 months ago, and they talked about the hard core system and then the soft one. On the hard one, you have the structure. I mean the systems and structure. You know, you want to change your organizational system, organizational structure. Well, what they advise us is that first of all, before you change all those hard one, go to the soft one and change the soft one. And what is the soft one? They say shared values, your style, your skill. That's the thing you change, and you do not change your soft structure, core values if you don't have that type of abundance mentality. If you look at, I remember there was one guy that had to, the guy is from Pakistan, they call him Paki, that type of thing. And so he sort of accepted himself, because if you don't accept that thing, he doesn't know how they're going to treat him, in terms of the job they might look for him. So because of the fear of losing the job, he accepted that type of thing. And even though it wasn't too good for him, at the end of the day, he became depressed. And by the time he knew what was going on, because I knew about this, because for the interview, I was holding my general manager to do an interview for senior managers. And that thing came up. They said, what is one of your failings in the organization? And the man was saying that thing, he referred to that thing that happened, that he failed as a manager. When he knew about that thing, that they were calling somebody Paki, he didn't take action because he's white too, and he was enjoying the thing. He was enjoying it. But when the repercussion came and he had to step down, they moved him from that position. He said that was a failing for him. And when my man told me that thing, he investigated that man really failed on that thing. So shared values, treating people with respect. It is very important in organization, for the organization before you change the hard structure. So treating people so that it is good. The monk, they didn't treat, they only respected the abbot. The abbot is the oga of the monastery, but the rabbi told them, say there's a Messiah there. In other words, if it's a Messiah, you have to treat the Messiah with respect. So they started treating somebody, they don't know who is the Messiah among them. And when they treated it with respect, other people came to visit and they saw the love in that place. They also came until the young people said, okay, they want to stay. Can they stay? So instead of having the 70 septuagenarians in that monastery, they started having the younger people coming, and things thrived. So why I'm saying it is this. The society judge you with bill. I remember when I went to Chatham to go and work, and one of my friends, he said, look at the first black man I've seen in this role. I say yes, because I knew it was deliberate. I wanted to come in there to break some things. I said, because the society, the white, if you are in front line care, customer service, the organization and the white people, they see you, that's your natural habitat, and they give you aid there. When you get to a position where they think is for them, so they say this man is not an aid to be on that place, so they judge you first of all. So you have to really fight hard to maintain. You got to believe in yourself, and before you get to that place. And most of importantly, the man who brought you there has to believe in you. The people the management that brought you there, you have to believe in you. So you yourself have to you have to be confident in yourself. And that same thing happened to Ben Carson, the one that Harriet talked about. I remember when some people, he was a doctor, and he was specialist in what they call this children, pediatrics. Okay, he was a pediatric specialist. And when there's a problem, they come in and they see the black man, they say, no. Can you have a better doctor, a real doctor, And the head of the department say, well,
It's a
right
manatee.
into that. Yeah?
So
Yes.
this doctor is
So
a manatee. Send me a real one.
A real one. A real one means a one with a white skin. So society already judged, you see. So we have a lot to grapple with in this thing, but it's good. I think the last one I want to point out is that of a teenager. He talked about adolescent, and I like what he said here about adolescent. Let me see if I look at my note on that one. So what he said, that adolescents are looking for an arena in which to make authentic contribution to the family and to the community. Adolescents, they are looking for an arena. But at the same time, actually youth in advanced country, they don't have control. To control youth here, you take the grace of God, because according to this, the child is always right. You don't have to punish the child. So they grow up believing that they can do anything until they get to 18. Then, so to get the right adolescent and motivate them is quite a challenge, because the foundation has been built wrongly. It's built wrongly. They just like free range. But when they get to, and so they develop some type of bad mentality and everything, disrespect. In fact, actually, a teacher in the advanced country, the way they talk to you, and if you're coming from Africa, you first of all have to teach yourself how to, some home truth before you go. I talked to a lot of teachers. They face a lot of challenges. So to handle those people and give them aid to get them well is quite a challenge. Let me stop there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Honestly, I'm holding myself not to talk too long today. But as I'm listening to every speaker, I just said, our default education, nothing wrong with education in a way. Our default way, but the way we have ended up where we are has really destroyed us. If you begin to feel the weight of what I feel, you would see why reinventing yourself and getting rid of a lot of beliefs is all we need to do. Now, when Ejiro was talking, it really hit me. I have forgotten that part because it was towards the end of the article. I don't even know if I read it, but I know I've heard it in the audio once. You see, a place where people are already getting demoralized, then somebody comes and just says, the Messiah is within, is one of you. Now, remember, being is who you are. Like if you plot a graph of who you are per second per time, the things that influences your productivity, your motivation, so subtle, yet unseen. I don't know, but somebody can correct me later on. I think it was Albert Einstein that was asked not to come to school. And when the mother opened the letter, the mother gave him an A. The mother said, he said, Mom, what is in the letter? Your teacher says that you are so brilliant and that, look, you are too much. And forgetting the other part of the letter. And the mother decided to homeschool him. And that is what produced one of the world's greatest genius. Doesn't that tell us that we have, in our judgment, put ourselves in prison? Just somebody who performed Olodo in Lagos in Nigerian parlance, and Olodo became one of the greatest inventors by giving him an A. Now, if you reread the article, this practice is not the same as the world of measurements. So sometimes we are confusing them. In the world of measurement and standard, it's a different thing. In the world of giving a space for me to be myself, I was in Port Harcourt in January this year and to speak on mental resilience. So an oil and gas company was doing a 4-day retreat on resilience, and they invited my friend Sam Egube as one of the speakers. Sam Egube now told the MD, your conference is not complete unless the number one resilience person in Nigeria is one of the speakers. The man said, who is that? Sam said, it's Tunde Ikpekuredi. Within 24 hours, they arranged for a flight for me to be in Port Harcourt. And I was there and they showed, Sam repeated what he said. So I don't have anything to say. When the man who is resilience himself, I won't tell you how that made me feel. Now, it's not in the world of measurement. It just gave me a space. So one of the students said in the article, he's now free to explore mistakes. Now, when the freedom to explore is not there, Have you gone to an interview where the inadequacy is a lot of pressure? I remember when I was being interviewed once, I can't remember, 2018 or 2019, for a position with Abuja Electricity Disco, KPMG. I think it was the CEO position. I entered the room and all my confidence just left me. Just left me. I didn't need to be told that I failed. I didn't need to be told. Now, imagine the space. See, when I was at the E1 Water Sports event recently, and there was one particular guy, I don't want to mention his name here, and I saw a lot of Yoruba guys, Lagosians, going to greet him. His table was attracting a lot of crowd. So one guy who was with me, who is a top gun around Badagry, he was on my table. He went to meet the guy and he came back. He said, I said, what? Why are so many people attracted to that table? He said, that's the guy that will be governor of Lagos State after Sanwo-Olu. Now you can just imagine. You see, when you read chapter 1 of the book, The Art of Possibility, the chapter 1 says it's all invented. God help me on this topic. The 0 is invented. The 100 is invented. In terms of this, not in the world of measurement, in terms of the space we give people to be themselves. The Messiah is among you. Look, I've been in meetings where somebody just invented the idea that somebody, I remember once I was in Delta State. I don't want to mention the name of the guy now. They said he's the one Governor Kowa will hand over to. No, Uduaga. And this guy, I went to his own house. There was almost a cow being killed every 3 days. People, crowd just coming. People donating them. People were bringing new generators, cars. This guy was never on the list. Look, I asked somebody, so what is he going to do with all those over $1 billion donated to him? He said, did he tell anybody to donate? Now, who we are being is invented. All of us here, no exception. We have given ourselves A, B, C, D, E to Z. And we show up from our invention. I don't know how many of us have the art of possibility. You just need to read chapter 1 again. It's all in the judgment is invented. The grade is invented. One of us here, I don't want to mention her name. I didn't take her permission. She has just been appointed general manager of a retail chain. Now, she's yet to resume. Then she's just visiting some of the branches. When she visited one of the branches, she looked at one of the staff and just said, don't worry. I know you guys, you Baki guys, I know how to handle you people. She said as she was going home, she said, who was she being? She came in a phone conversation sometimes last month. She said, here you go again. You have not resumed. You have begun to fail. Now, we don't know. We don't know how we end up in these failures. You have not resumed. You have just been appointed general manager, Tasty Fried Chicken nationwide. Then you visit a branch. Then you are already giving, you are in the world of measurements has taken over you. People you know nothing. I think she said to me, one of the persons she just said in her mind are like, well, wait for me to resume. I can't remember whether the person did not greet her. Now, somebody may not greet you, but later on, she said in her own admission, she said, I realized, is it that the person did not see her or something? I can't remember. That when the person was done, the person said something that was contrary to her initial position. We enter a room and immediately, look, if you know how this automaticity works in us, we have sized up everything. We have sized up everything. Now, this is not the world of measurement. Now, you will notice consciously or unconsciously the places you like to go are the places that give you room, not judgment. where you feel the judgment. They just give you room to say, be who you want to be. And you're already an A anyway, you're an A. I mean, yesterday I was with, no, 2 days ago I was with a lady, and the same Samuel Egubi. There's a conference coming out in Doha, 2026, Resilience Conference. And this lady went to meet Samuel Egubi, and we started discussing and talking about speakers for the conference. That she's been doing this conference in Lagos for 5 years now, but a lot of international people are coming, and she wants to move it to Qatar. Sam said to her, make sure Tunde is on that list. When she gave me a call and we held a meeting in Lekki 2 days ago, I said, now, wow, do I have this? Do I give myself an A like this, the way Sam gives me an A? Now, we don't give people the room to even be who they want, to explore the possibility. When I was reading the article, I said, I have done something close to this thing, not in this arena. So 2016, about 9 years ago, I was looking for a way to help to reduce school dropout in my village in Delta State. So I set up a foundation, and I had an idea that, look, you can't rise above the image you have of yourself. And as we're talking now, it's just coming to my mind. And one of the things in the classes I took, I had young graduates who were teaching technical subjects. In the classes I took, it was all about self-image. So I would say to these 12, 13-year-old children who they've taught hygiene, they've taught different things, how to dress, how to do. Then when I come in my class, I would tell these children and I would say, I'll teach them how to tell their story 20 years from now. And this is the story. 20 years ago, before I came to Tunde Ekpeku Radio Foundation, I just had no hope. But today, see me, I own a jet. Look, if you teach children, they are an amazing people. Adults, you start reasoning. Your judgment, your judgment will come in. I should tell myself. I'm very sure that young people find it easier to say that they are the righteousness of God than older ones in our age. Because a lot of judgment of sin, inadequacy, confession, depending on the religion you grew up, has eliminated 70% of our possibilities in life. If you see what these children could do, it became within a period of 4 weeks intensive. It became their self-expression, how they became Miss Nigeria, how they got this. You will see why some of them, on the final day when you have to come and say, Benjamin Zander told them, write how you got an A. And I just remembered now, when I think it was when, I don't know whether I said you, when in the final day, after they've gone through almost 6 of my classes, you are now expected to come, look, how you became Miss Nigeria. Look, you will just see young 12, 13-year-old girl. So my husband is so handsome. The whole class will go in applause. How I met him, they would describe. How I said, now all of this is neural rewiring. Neural rewiring. Now you are constantly seeing yourself. Look, I brought a Chinese teacher to teach these children Chinese language. In 3 days, they were singing Christian songs in Chinese. The image, I look back now, many of them I'm still in contact with who are now in university studying this, studying all manner, sending me their JAM result. I got 248, medicine, abraca, this one. I said, these were the people that I met that didn't know that it looks like the world is not for them. Today, they are talking of reading medicine, reading engineering, reading this. Now, if we can give people the room to really be, we don't give the room. If we can, once we can develop the awareness of the judgment that when people come into our presence, the limitation kicks in immediately. This is not the world of standards and measurements. Now, just imagine that for nothing that I did, God invented that I was righteous. I will stop here. Janice, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Uh, thanks to everyone that has spoken. I've really gained a lot. I just want to come from another angle. Yes, the article is talking about giving people an A. In our last section, somebody asked, how do you make this change? Was asking, how do you become an ego you have realized? This is one of the ways we have to give ourselves A also, not just other people. It's sometimes, if you read the article, it is, he gave them an A, but he asked them to write, how did you get there? It's not just seeing yourself having that A. It gave them the opportunity. That is, they begin to deep down into themselves to see how they arrived at that A, even when they have not arrived. When we were talking last week, we were saying that you now know that you're an ego. So the next step is begin to, what does an ego do? You know that you are not an ego. So the first step is, we also not just give people an A, we also need to give ourselves A. Sometimes our mind limits us. You've given yourself A, but you begin to doubt yourself. It's just mouth. I'm the CEO of Fortune 500 company. How will I ever reach the me that is just here? No, you begin to find the path. You begin to see yourself. Okay, I now went to look at what it takes to be a CEO, and I began to learn it. And I began to find out there are some things that I'm doing that I need to drop. And I found out that I need to go for a training. And I found out that I need to move. I need to have people within my circle. That is the way. So he did not only just tell them, he said, sit down. That them writing it, it gives them the opportunity to begin to think. What will you do to get that A? So as we do this class, yes, we begin to say you can shift your personality. You have given yourself an A. You shift your personality. We have realized in this class that we can reinvent ourselves. We can become anything we want to become. Everything is possible. It's to throw away. We go back to the book, Tracy Goss talking about interpretation. You're not coming from your old context. You're coming from a new context. I can be anything I want to be. I am an A. And you begin to look at, what does it take to be an A? So we need to give ourselves A also and begin to sit down and write those later on how we got there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Janice. Okay, so the floor is open. And I still want to hear varied perspectives. So what did we get from the article? The floor is open. Oh, Dr. Vic, sorry. The floor is yours.
Yeah, good morning, good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, I always say I thank you. I thank the Okabaris for inviting me to this. And I thank you, sir, for organizing this, to lifting up our mind, removing our doubts. I resonate with what Janet said about giving ourselves A. Because even everybody gives you D, it's what you give yourself that really matters. Myself, as an example, I came from a very poor family. So I had to stay with my auntie who trained me. And my mom always tell me, focus in your studies. By the time I finished, I went for my JAMB. I had to go to Onitsha to go and do the JAMB. I was in my auntie's house, and the brother-in-law, who is a medical doctor, was around. I think she called me to come and bring something, and I came. He said, "Oh, who is this?" I said, "Oh, it's my niece, one of my relatives. She wants to read medicine." The man, sometimes we say things that didn't really make any meaning to us, but it makes meaning to people around us. And the man said, "No, it's not possible. She cannot. She cannot enter. She cannot. It's not possible for her to read medicine." Or I didn't want to read medicine. I had actually wanted dentistry. So that impression in my mind, I cannot do it, reinforced my innermost resilience that I will beat down what this man has said about me because he doesn't know me. Luckily, I got into dentistry, University of Benin. And today I'm a dentist, not only in Nigeria, but in the United Kingdom. I have taught in King's College. So when I look back, I said, if I meet that man, he will not remember what he said. But some of the things that there are things people say, it either brings you down or it reinforces what you believe in yourself. And it will make you to improve your that innermost resilience to, to prove to people that what they have, they don't really know you. They don't really know your capacity. It either brings negativity in your life or it brings positivity. For me, when I look back, I said, this has really made me, even when in school, things were very difficult, but I tried to pull through. And today, I can say, oh, is what that man said that made me. My auntie will not even remember what has happened, but it made an impression in my mind. So it also confirms, give people an A, give them a space. Even when you look at them, like what you sir did, taking children who have from nowhere, you spoke into their life. It's just like when you take a seed, you speak into seed, things that are flowers and they blossom. And then in our lives, we cannot speak positivity. The more we speak, the more we have an inner mind that we are going to make this happen. Sometimes there are things in nature. It will happen. I look at trees, they don't really do anything. Flowers, but one day you see beautiful flowers blossom. Things around us will enable us to achieve if we in ourselves believe, give ourselves A, give people around us A to express themselves. That's the only thing I can say. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The floor is open. The floor is open. Okay, Michael, the floor is yours.
Good morning again, everyone.
Good morning.
I don't have much to say. I just quickly want to contribute to what the last speaker said. She took the statement of that will I call him brother-in-law now or whatever, as a challenge, and that was good. I think what we are trying to learn here is the very last thing she said. We must learn to give people a chance, because as a matter of fact, my own observation in life generally is that those kind of statements that man made do more harm than good. She's probably one of a lesser fraction of any group of persons who will rise to that challenge. It wasn't intended as a challenge, it was intended as a put down, but she took it as a challenge and rose to it. But with a lot of people, such statements will actually put them down. And I think that's what we're trying to learn here, to always give, that's in this particular class now, or in this particular part of this class, to always give people that chance to bring out the best in themselves. I had a similar experience, not professionally now, but it was way back in secondary school, and I reacted oppositely to what she did. What happened? I knew from when I was very young that I want to be an engineer. as early as age 6, I had already made up my mind that I'm going to be an engineer, you know. So here we are in secondary school. Those days we used to, what they now call further maths was called additional mathematics. And we were moving from Form 3 to Form 4 then. And, I picked additional mathematics so that, I will have that background. It was one of the requirements then, or one of the expectations. And then one of my classmates, when we were talking about what subjects we picked, what subjects did you pick? So I mentioned and said I picked additional mathematics. And he looked at me and said, what? Don't you know that additional mathematics is for crazy people? It's only crazy people that study it. That statement completely froze me and froze my mind out of additional math, such that I didn't used to attend the classes. Eventually, I skipped the WAEC exam for that subject. Fortunately for me, they didn't mark it as a fail, or they didn't indicate it as a fail grade. That would have been the fail grade in my school set result. It was blank. In fact, they didn't even include it. And lo and behold, I got into the university through, and here I was face to face with the first year equivalent of additional mathematics. Additional mathematics, essentially, but in the university, is now classified as mathematics. I think it was 102 and 104 then, I can't remember now. So, Oga, you want to become an engineer. You ran away from additional mathematics in secondary school because somebody said that it's only crazy people that can study it. They have to be crazy in their thinking, their mentality. And here you are face to face with it. If you don't pass it, you know you're not going to become an engineer. So what do I do? That was when I now looked into myself and said, oh boy, the desire to become an engineer now was bigger than the fear of additional mathematics. So I put my head down. Fortunately, we had a book then by K.A. Stroud that was very good for self-learning. And I studied and studied and studied. By the time we were finishing first year, that branch of mathematics was now one of my favorites in that level. So what am I saying? Two people. Just as a coach, I've given an example before of two sisters in the University of Benin who were born of the same parents and live in the same house. So two people faced with almost identical situation, people making negative statements about them. One reacts positively, the other reacts negatively. Given the condition the conditioning we see in our society, you mentioned something about our education earlier on. We are conditioned from infancy, and that conditioning makes us to lose 70%, you mentioned, probably greater than that, of our inherent potential as human beings. So we, as agents of light, if I may use that phrase now, must be very careful henceforth as we go around how we communicate to people in the context of what we are discussing this morning. Everybody has said we must learn to give people aid. That's a simple way of putting it. But somebody else also said it's easier said than done. That is the truth. But it's something we must challenge ourselves with. Let me stop here for now.
Okay, thank you very much. I like the phrase agents of light. So there is enormous responsibility on us. Yesterday, I sat down and I started listing some relationships in my life. And what have I given them? Like Rosamond. You see the way these judgments come. When I was reading the article, so Rosamond says, I don't know whether it's paraphrase of whatever. It's like the judgment of whether the father is good. Let me just see what is in the chat listing. Okay. The judgment of whether the father gets an A or not is based on what the father has told her. And I think in one of it, he has not taken her out alone. Not that he has not taken her out alone. Now, that is the word of measurement. Now, if that is important to you, it's you. But should that be in the context of allowing the person. Now, let me just read something here in paragraph 2. We call this practice giving an A. It is an enlightening way of approaching people that promises to transform you as well as them. It promises, it is a shift in attitude that makes it possible for you to speak freely about your own thoughts and feelings. Wow. Honestly, I don't know how I never saw this. God knows how many times I've read or listened to this article before now. Maybe let's just take a hypothetical situation right now. So think of where you are working. I don't know, you may be self-employed, but just think of the managing director and think of the space that you have allowed him, you have given him to be managing director. Think of all the judgments that with which you have resized him. Like I said, we are not dealing with human beings. We are dealing with our conception of the human being. We don't deal with any human being. We are always dealing with the image we have built about them. Now let's just attempt to do like nursery school. So let's resize. You can come up with somebody. I'm using managing director, but I want us to speak up. Resize, just come up with a way that is practical. I think maybe I'm going to step down the topic I have for next week. It's going to be practice on, we're going to come to class next week and just come with a story, everybody. So, well, if you like, dodge the class. Just one experience of practicing being that you've had during the week. And I mean, we are coming to the end of the year for these weekly classes. And we should increase the dents that the impact of these classes makes in us, or has made in us. So think of any hypothetical situation. I've been seeing, might be a friendship. This is the way this, how might you give him an A? It might be your MD. Remember, it's difficult to say. I agree with all of us when we say it's difficult, but we have invented the word. Now we need to reinvent it. The F is invented. Queen, the floor is yours.
Good morning, sir. Good morning,
Good
everyone.
Morning.
I know we have been using the terminology given an A, but I think I want to change that a little bit. I want to use the term self-esteem or ego. I want to use this because I want to say that that idea of giving an A, sometimes we see someone and feel that they are superior to us, or that we are superior to them. So when you see someone and say, okay, this guy is superior to me, so let me mind the way I talk to him. I believe that's where we are now giving the person the A and taking our A and trashing it up. So we begin to talk, from an inferior place. Then when we see someone and give ourselves an A and give them an F, we now begin to talk to them like they're little. I feel that's where Madam Vic's uncle or whoever came from when he said, you can never do this. He felt he was superior to her and he had the power to do that. Because I myself, I have experienced that. I experienced that in the university. I had a lecturer that told me, because I studied French language, so he told me that I will never be good in French language. And I told him for that, I will come back from France one day and tell you that I've done it. So, and he did not only do it once, he was consistently doing that to me. So, and the man took it upon himself to give me an F in all his courses, because French course is a 5-year course. From year 1 to the 5th year, he took it upon himself to give me an F in all his courses. So, and I found out that most times I sit with people, I write the exams for them, they get their B's and their A's. But when my result comes out, I get an F. So it did not really put me down, but I found that challenging and it affected my results. But I knew that he was doing it intentionally when we went for this abroad study. Abroad study, we did it in Badagry. So, and there's this very, very difficult lecturer that was also handling his own courses in Badagry. So when I encountered this lady, the first day I encountered her, she spoke French to me and I responded. So she looked at me in a certain way. I didn't understand the look actually. So I just took it like, whatever. Only for me to find out that the next day we had her class and I delayed in attending the class. I was a little bit down, so I took a little bit time coming up on the class. This madam did not start her class until I entered the class. So when everyone was like, why are we not starting it? She said she wants her. So looking for somebody. When I now arrived, she was like, there you are. I was like, what? What is in my mind? I was like, what is someone talking about? So she said she loved the way I responded to her. That the French I spoke so that I was serious about it. So I now asked myself, wait, is this not the same French I'm speaking like this my lecturer and saying I'm so bad in? So that was when I now knew, okay, that this was like, he was trying to intimidate me. So I finished with Badagry course. I came back. I showed the man my result and he started screaming that, how did I get all these A's and B's and this and this course? Now I'm intelligent. I laughed in my mind. I laughed. So what I'm trying to say is that it's more of complex. We have this, and you call this measurement right during the talk. We have this complex right from childhood, and I believe it's because of environment, African mentality. Like Oga Herod said, he said over there, children have freedom. They don't want to put that complex on them. But in Africa, once you have a child, a little thing the child does, we have putting that child on a measurement. Oh, this child is very brilliant. This one's an idiot, and then we take it off from there. Throughout the child's days, child keeps on going with that. Even when you meet somebody else that is yet to know the child, you will not tell, don't mind this one. This one is stupid, doesn't know anything. That one is better than the person doesn't know the child, but we have already given that. So I believe it's a complex thing. So I want to use that terminology, self-esteem or ego or complex, instead of just giving an A, because when you say give an A, yes, it is going to be categorized in the grading aspect. But through all the conversations, all I have been hearing in my head while the conversation is going on is esteem. So I don't know that I'm the only one in that field. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The floor is open, but until I get a hand, I just want to ask this question. So when Queen was talking in her trip to Badagry, she said there is this difficult lecturer. Now, in the world of being, difficult is a judgment. Difficult is an invention. Yeah, we all do it. Sometimes I do it, and sometimes in one of the things I've been learning in being since January this year, sometimes is sitting down and transforming difficult people not to be difficult. In the world of possibility, let me use the language of Zander. So giving an A is the world of possibility. In the world of measurements, he said in the article, what we're saying here, we're not saying that all medical students should be given an A and they passed. It says that is not what this world of possibility is all about. He said that is the world of measurements. You should expect that we are saying they should have some certain level of competence. Now, I think God will help some of us, including me, to be able to really separate it. So to separate the world of measurement from the world of possibility. Michael, your hand is up. I'll give you the stage.
Good morning again, everyone.
Good morning.
It's actually where you are going into now. I wanted to ask a question. That
Good.
can you talk around this world of possibility and world of measurement a little bit more? I don't even know how to frame any specific question, but maybe as you talk around it, things will crystallize in my mind. But I think for me personally, I need to get a slightly better understanding.
Okay.
And if I may just quickly chip in, I heard all Queen said, and I noted her points. But Queen, I think my point to you is that because you said you were hearing what you used just now while everybody was talking. Is it ego or what's this? My point to you is that I think this giving an A is in the world of narrow it down, narrow your suggestion, narrow your grasp or your comprehension down to the world of possibility. It doesn't negate all you said. All you said is very much in line, but I think we need to narrow it down. So let me, Coach, please go on.
Okay.
I want to hear a little bit more about the distinction between measurement and possibility in the context in which we are speaking.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Michael. So in the world of possibility, anything and everything is possible. In the world of measurement, so there is a ladder. So I come and I bring 10 students. Let's see how much you can climb. Somebody stops at the third rung. So I write there, out of 27 rungs of the ladder, this person was only able to climb 3 and he or she gave up. So the person scored 3/27. That is the world of measurement. In the world of possibility, it is just open the room. Yeah, look at what one of these, I don't know whether it's a Korean guy. For those of us who have either schooled or lived internationally, when I was doing my MBA, you could see the difference, how difficult it is for Japanese students to express themselves in class. For Chinese, those were the Chinese and Japanese were the two most challenging persons. English is your natural language as the way you come to do your presentation during my MBA in Dublin. If English is not your default language, you have this thing. Now, Xander said, in differences in culture too, they show up in class. In Japan, it's hierarchy. You don't talk when it's senior. Now you come to Dublin and you are just 26, and the professor is saying that you are correct and he's wrong. It's sure the Japanese students are during my MBA that it's possible how an elder person can say they are wrong and he is correct. It's a whole wall. Now, for English-speaking people and the culture you grew up, that is possible. Now, but in the world of possibility, Johnny said something there. Let's also give our children an A. Yesterday, I had to come up. We have 4 kids, and I started doing a diagnosis. What have I given to this child? In the world of possibility, not in the world of measurement. What have I given this child? What have I given this child? Now, in the world of possibility, you just want to let the people be. You are not stacking them up against your belief. Now, God is the greatest, is the number one person. For those of us who, depending on your religion and what's even how you interpret the religion. So God just says, I'm a new creation.